The bloody and violent UFC brings you more news from its cage where there are no rules. Have you wondered what UFC stars think about each other and their competitors? What's the deal between two people who would punch and kick each other inside the cage but can be good friends outside it? Well, this video will help you understand exactly that, so stay tuned. First up, Max Dean and Bo Nickal rivalry. If there was ever anyone who could identify and point out one reason for disliking Nickal, it would be someone from the Dean family. Yeah, Nickal hasn't been kind to them and keeps taking away their chances to win a title by just being incredibly fierce inside the cage. He's nothing less than a beast, and you wouldn't think he's one. What do we say? He just looks sweet. But looks can be deceptive, and you'll hear that from Max Dean every time. But for as many reasons as the 2022 national champion, Max Dean should hate Nickal, right? He's done nothing but harm his reputation. You'd think that after Nickal dethroned his brother and beat him up, Dean would avoid any interaction with his rival. Nuh-uh, he's found a lot more reasons to love him. Even though he tried to dislike him, Nickal beat him to the punch when Dean became a Nittany lion. Imagine Dean wearing the mascot of the lion and roaming around. Well, that's a funny sight that we'd rather not think about more unless we want this to become a completely different video. So, how did these two rivals become friends? Dean says that they've never been truly rivals outside of the ring anyway. The rivalry ends when they're out of the cage and the two aren't trying to hurt each other to the point of a bloody mess. He says they're good friends and he looks up to him a lot considering how he's done in his career and what kind of person he is. Next, the Bo Nickal IT factor. Dean goes on to narrate a story saying that he was new to Penn State last year, and Nickal was the person who competed against his brother a few times, and had wrestled him too in college a while back. So when he arrived at Penn State, Nickal welcomed him with open arms and showed what a great guy he truly is. It's really nice to see how people who look insanely mean and dangerous can be such sweethearts. Guess we shouldn't judge people inside the cage, because that's where they have to be big bullies. Who's gonna pay the bills? Not kindness or empathy for sure. Despite all the rage around the topic of Max Dean and Bo Nickal, Dean clarifies that there wasn't any real disdain between them anyway. The three-time national champion Bo Nickal and Dean are always happy to work together and have a good time. Nickal is as likable as he is talented. Dean has in fact observed that as much of a niche sport as wrestling still is in most circles, Nickal walks the Penn State grounds with as much praise and respect as Todd Blackledge did in the 80s. He's already a living legend being compared to a legend himself. He's not only a skillful wrestler but has a big heart of gold. We're becoming bigger fans of Nickal as we learn more about him from people who shouldn't lose any chance to bring him down because they're supposed to be competitors. You gotta be a real sweetheart if your rivals can't help but praise you. Dean says that wrestling is a sort of sport that's always been difficult, and on college campuses, people can't name half of the training. And Nickal has always stood out as a winner there too. The it factor that makes Nickal so successful is explained by Dean in an interview, where he says that there's a reason why Nickals won so many times. It's normal here at Penn State because he's won so many titles here, but we shouldn't forget that Bo Nickal is by far one of the most dominant college wrestlers in recent history, and now for a beastly performance. He's been so good for so long, and he always gives thanks and talks about his faith in being positive. Dean feels that his likability, skill, and even willingness to play the game and engage in trash talk will get him as far in MMA as he does in NCAA wrestling. Of course, there's no equivalent to a Hodge Trophy in MMA, but Nickals already talking about a future jump to the light heavyweight division, so being a champion in two divisions is on the table, and he has plenty of time to win and defend a middleweight title. So it turns out, all that success is just the beginning. He's basically just getting started. Dean explains that people who fight against him are at a severe disadvantage always because it can be difficult to capture the exact same aura that Nickal carries in the halls of Penn State, and there's no reason for people to bet against it. So they don't and always expect and hope Nickal would come out on top of the ring. He further says that some people just have that it factor. They're charismatic, and that's something that Bo definitely has. He's someone who believes that he'll win, and he goes inside the ring with that mindset. That's why he's going to be really fun to follow throughout MMA, because he's going to get a lot of wins, and in a cool way too. Max Dean said that Bo's not a guy who wants to play it safe and win by decision. He wants to end the game or end the fight. He's a beast. He's going to be phenomenal. He ends the interview. And we believe you, Dean. Guess we know Max Dean is Team Bo Nickal and can't help but drool over the success his friend has achieved so far. But now let's head over to other UFC and wrestling news, starting with a fighter hospitalized. UFC suffered a late shakeup recently. As you may count from this type of information so near battle nighttime, the incident was associated with weight cutting points. In consequence, the UFC 275 lineup is now down to simply 11 fights. Brazilian bruiser Rogério Bontorin encountered kidney pains throughout his unsuccessful weigh-in. champion and was dispatched to a close-by hospital. In consequence, his flyweight showdown against Manuel Cape was cancelled. Next, UFC star Conor McGregor's Twitter feud. McGregor's fame for his vicious fights and verbal attacks that become memes are legendary. His views on Twitter have often gotten him in trouble among fans who are left to choose sides. But this time he's in the news for some different reasons. Conor McGregor provided a way to type out a fan's enamel in an aggressive Twitter change this afternoon, after being advised to repair his hometown. The previous two-weight world champion was celebrating on social media after he purchased a brand new pub known as the Waterside in his hometown, the third on his property portfolio. He retweeted confirming the purchase of his new house hotspot, after which he posted that "the city is mine, and my city is your city," with a heart emoji. One fan clapped again with a message imploring him to type out Dublin, to which McGregor responded, "First up, your enamel," in a violent and surely a jokey response to the person. But the fan took it personally and deleted their tweet. McGregor's winning inside the cage as well as outside it and virtually. Talk about man's power. So, was a UFC star previously a sushi chef? Sushi and wrestling don't make sense, unless it's for throwing the raw fish at your opponent so he would slip and break his bone. But it turns out that Davison Figueiredo, known for his superb skill within the octagon and being a two-time UFC flyweight champion, started his job career by being a sushi chef. In Brazil, Figueiredo learned how to make sushi through a buddy in the gymnasium, the place he and his brother used to coach. Regardless of this being the 34-year-old's first function as a sushi chef, he was made the boss after only 1 week as a result of his buddy leaving. Finally, Bryce Mitchell believes the government was involved in Texas school shooting. The moon landing was fake. There are aliens inside Area 51. Number 9 ranked UFC featherweight Bryce Mitchell's an undefeated rising star on the UFC roster. He's talented, but loves to spread conspiracy theories. His most recent conspiracy theory is that the government was involved in the horrific Robb Elementary School shooting in Texas. According to Mitchell, the inaction of law enforcement on the scene was orchestrated by the government in an effort to garner support for gun legislation. Well, okay, this doesn't sound like a stretch at all. When he was criticized for his stance, Mitchell responded that he says about things he cares about, and he knew that he would receive backlash but will maintain his beliefs. The mass shooting took place in 2017 in Las Vegas and killed several people, including school children. That's a wrap for this video. If you have any questions related to Max Dean and Bo Nickals' friendship or other UFC and wrestling news that we've given you today, let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one. Bye!